Hello and welcome to the Tifo Football podcast. I'm Joe Devine, and today I'm delighted to be joined by JJ Bowl.
Leishma.
Ruben Pinder.
Hello.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Leishma.
Leishma.
And me, Joe Devine. Leishma. Also, Steve Hankey's here.
Leishma.
There you go. Leishma means slug in Portuguese. At least I think it does. I hope we're not saying something really bad. It's going to be hard for Steve Hankey to find that out. Because how do you spell Leishma? You know?
Don't know, but
It's correct.
Yeah, it's correct. I knew it was. I just wanted to inject a little bit of fear into Steve Hankey. I saw him instantly go to the Google computer just to double check.
be one of the few things left into this episode from our
That's
discussions.
true. It's going to be hard for me to tell you, listener, what is actually in today's episode for a multitude of reasons. A, we said many things that had to be cut for legal reasons. B, and also ethical reasons, and just reasons of preservation of our tone and the perception of who we are as people, and our what's the word? Reputation, journalistic standards,
Red tape.
red tape.
Yeah.
The woke new world. Not that at all. We just said stuff that then had to be removed later for time, and also because I went on a very long bit. Anyway, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it, because it's not. It's gone. It's not in the episode. Here's what's in the. Also, the second reason was because we did a time dilation thing. Seb Stafford-don't, who also joins us for this episode, is not currently here, nor is he here at the beginning of what you will hear. But he was here he's here in the middle for you, or towards the end, but mainly in the middle. But for us, it was more sort of near the beginning of the middle. So it's been very confusing.
Yeah.
And we've done it in an order which is definitely going to upset Steve.
Baffling.
A baffling order. But here's things we spoke about at some point, okay? The beginning went places. And by places, we mean potatoes. We talked a little bit about potatoes. Are we deciding not to cut that bit?
Yeah, some of it will stay in there. A few potatoes.
A bit of the potato
Not
chat.
the whole sack, but certainly.
Not the whole sack.
No.
But JJ wasn't here last week. And also, we discover why John is not here this week. Now, storms. We talk about storms and how... Gee, that was a long time ago, wasn't it? We talked about those storms. Long time ago.
I don't think we talked much about storms.
I don't know. I feel like we did.
I've also put it in there. I'm not sure it's going to stay in.
The storms bit's
Yeah.
got to stay. That's
Yeah,
a
I
good
think it
bit.
will.
This bit about
No, it will.
storms.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Can you imagine if
Yeah.
you didn't know what a storm was, and then you were on like a boat back in the day, in like
God.
the year 200 BC, and you're on a boat out into the ocean, and it's like, what is going on?
No wonder people believed in gods and stuff, isn't it? Because that is terrifying.
Yeah.
I always think that about lightning now. I only think I know what lightning is because someone's told me. They say, oh yeah, it's just electricity that gets all charged up in the sky. And if I think
sorry,
about
what?
it,
What do you mean?
I know.
Oh, that's normal then. Don't stand near a tree. Why not?
If I think about it, I'm very confused. I don't understand how that could possibly be the case. Having said that, I don't understand why the door hurts my hand in the cinema when I'm walking on the carpet and dragging my feet, you know?
I mean, I don't understand how Wi-Fi works. There are some things in life I just choose to accept that I will never get them because cleverer people than me do.
That's almost everything, right?
Everything except for football, which is why it's good that we all ended up in this room.
You think there aren't cleverer people than you who get
No, of
football?
course there are, but I understand it.
You are clever enough
That's
to
my
understand
thing,
it.
yeah.
That you football's your thing.
Yeah, of course it is.
I've never
What do
thought
you
about
mean?
football as your thing.
What do you mean?
It speaks to you. It's a compliment to you. It's like I think you're more well-rounded. There are some people I see around these halls, the halls of the athletic. I look at them and I think football. That's all you are. Football. Take football away from that person. What are they? Nothing. Just someone on the street and nobody. Yeah. But when I look at you, I think if I took football away from you, you'd still have popular culture. You'd still have a spindly body and like a. You'd speak a different language. Yeah, that was a good one.
Yeah,
you speak
yeah.
Spanish, you know?
Yeah.
I think you'd
That was
have
such
more.
a great save until you body shamed me, but we'll move on.
Same with JJ. I think you take football away from him. What's he got? He's got fun music and silliness and whatever. You take football away from John McKenzie. I mean, good Lord.
Nothing.
It's sad, isn't
He'd
it?
find something else, though.
No, it's true. He's
Theology.
actually got quite a lot going on.
He's a well-read man, John McKenzie.
I know.
Yeah.
It's actually quite annoying how content he is. Anyway, storms. We talked about storms and
Done
the
that
Club
one.
World Cup. Done that one. Substitutes will be soon interviewed mid-game, we talk about that. I mean, that makes it sound like, well, yeah. We played the separation game. That was very exciting. We actually just did that, but in the episode, we did that in the middle. And what else? Oh, yeah, then we do a lot of transfer talk in what is the second half for you, I think. But it could happen at any point.
Just let them discover.
Yeah, we'll just leave you to find that out, within which we talk about, actually a fair amount about Chelsea, Dominic Calvert-Lewin, Milos Kerkez, Jamie Gittens, and we learn again for you later that the Portuguese word for slug, which is leishma, but we've already said that, so leishma. Is that it? Do you think that covers it?
Yeah, I think there's lots more we could have done.
Yeah,
but
for sure.
Yeah, I guess that's what we did.
Great. Happy?
Yeah.
Yeah, you happy, Steve?
Yeah.
All right, well, all that's left to say is I hope you enjoy today's episode. Leishma. Yeah. First things first. Preston North potatoes, Steve has written here. We talked about potatoes a lot last week, as you'll both recall. And many people... You not here?
No.
Oh, you weren't here. We talked about potatoes a lot last week. In fact, we should get your take. We went round the table and we ordered the carbs. You know that meme that went around about 6 months to 6 years ago, where people were saying pasta, bread, potato, rice. They're the main four. What order do you put them in?
Is that all you eat?
Yeah, mainly, yeah. So now you order them from most favourite to least favourite.
Of those things.
Of those four things, yeah.
So potato is a very useful
Yeah.
item.
Look at you go.
Versatile,
You're trying to
aren't
find
they?
something funny out of this, but there's nothing funny in
Well,
it.
I just want if I could eat crisps and chips all day.
That's potatoes.
Well, exactly.
Yeah.
So them.
That's why they're number one.
Yeah, of course.
I said that too.
Yeah.
Kaya, because he's Turkish, said rice, which we said was fine. John said potatoes were bottom, which isn't fine.
That's odd.
I can't remember
just
what my order
ridiculous.
was.
It doesn't
It's a bit of a
matter.
toss-up between the big three for me. It's not a big four, you know.
Right.
I think Rice are quite lucky to be there.
We did say that's just because we're from England.
Yeah, we did acknowledge that.
I
It's-
think for
of
most
course,
of
it's
the
what you're
world,
used to, yeah.
rice is not lucky to be there. Rice is number one, and then the others.
Yeah, it's
are-
the main.
Rice keeps many people alive. Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course, it's the main
Sure,
staple. I
Yeah.
find more versatility in the other ones.
Yeah, yeah. But again, though, I feel like we should say, I reckon there's probably quite a lot of versatility in rice.
That's the word I wanted, versatility.
The way that you eat it in Asia, I reckon there probably is versatile. You know,
It's just yeah.
what
fair
do you
enough.
what do you think?
I like all the different types of bread. Why are we having this conversation?
Oh, bread's there as well.
Yeah, of course.
Bread's
Bread
good,
is the
yeah.
fourth. Yeah.
Bread's second best.
Bread's in there too.
Yeah.
You know, so bread's second best, and then is it pasta, and then rice?
I think probably rice then pasta. Oh, that's a difficult one.
Pasta's great.
You can't be
Come
losing
on.
pasta.
Yeah.
It's okay to not like rice. I wasn't saying that thing about rice in Asia as though you have to like it. I just meant that for many, it's always worth bearing in mind, for many people around the world, rice is probably number one.
I'll put rice to the bottom because I think especially I really like Indian food a lot. So, but you can just have it with like a naan, which is bread.
That's what I said to Kaya as well, but I
Yeah.
felt very offensive when I was saying it. I was
but
like,
then,
you
like-
can eat all your food without rice, so it's
Yeah.
not needed.
Turkish bread is also absolutely delicious.
Yeah, exactly. Turkish potatoes, rubbish. Get those Turkish potatoes away from me. Anyway, I've never had any Turkish potatoes. I don't know what they taste like. They probably cover them in something spicy though, and I'm not into that. Now, the reason I have started talking about this at all is Preston North potatoes is because many people wrote in last week after we talked about potatoes to tell us that Preston North End have recently signed a new shirt sponsorship with the Spud Brothers.
Yeah.
That's their name.
TikTok viral people.
Are they TikTok viral people?
Yeah.
I didn't know who they
What
were.
do they do?
They just sell jacket potatoes and they look really nice, but it's very basic stuff. They just
Are
sell
they
it.
the guys that do it out of the van and
Yeah.
they give one away for free?
Yeah.
Oh, I've seen them.
Oh, and they
Didn't know
film
that's
it
who they
like
were.
with like a
Yeah, it's good
POV
marketing.
GoPro.
I thought they
Yeah, it's
were
great.
just like a random van. Anyway, I didn't mean to talk about them for this long. And actually, the only thing I wrote in the plan was to say that other football teams and tubers are available.
And what?
Tubers.
Like the music? What?
Like the type of food. Like a potato is a tuber.
Is it?
Yeah, it's not as many people think it's not a root vegetable.
Okay.
Tubers kind of are all root vegetable. I think it seems like to me it's like a needless.
I thought you were referring to a musical instrument.
No, a tuber.
Should we name other tubers so people know what you're talking about and then move on?
Yeah, there's the sweet potato. There's the potato. There's a type of artichoke, I think, is a tuber.
The mashed potato.
There's the mashed potato, which is a mashed tuber.
It's a dance.
There's a yam.
Is that different to a sweet potato? It's quite close, isn't it?
It's different,
but it's close genetically.
I wouldn't be able to speak to how genetically close it is. I'm not a geneticist scientist, but they seem similar to me.
And you love tubers, so
I'm a big fan. I'm not, to be honest. I'm mainly a big fan of
potatoes,
specifically the ordinary
not a sweet potato guy. No.
I don't love it. I went through
too much flavour for Joe.
Yeah, for sure. My wife likes to order sweet potato fries sometimes, and I think, for a little dabble, sometimes I go, oh sure, yeah, but then they don't taste good with mayonnaise. And then I'm out.
Hard disagree.
Really?
Yeah, I quite like them. Well, in a certain burger restaurant, the bacon mayonnaise with the sweet potato fries, obviously you can't have that. So.
I think actually, based on how much we've talked about the Spud Brothers already, it would probably be quite good for you to name that burger restaurant.
Oh, Gourmet Burger Kitchen. Do a great baconaise.
Yeah,
it's fantastic, yeah.
And then we should just name some others as well.
Bleecker.
Someone told me about Bleecker the other day.
It's probably me. It's the best burger in the world. But I've also found another one called Black Bear, which is
I was just about to mention Black Bear. Unreal burger. Good sesame buns.
Yeah. You know my favourite? I like a little known one.
I know where this is going.
I'm trying to decide whether it's funnier to say McDonald's or Burger King. Burger King is funny.
But you're going to... it has to be Filet-O-Fish, whatever for you.
I eat a Filet-O-Fish.
Yeah.
I'm a pescatarian.
I've never had one.
Have you not?
No.
They're not. I wouldn't say they're worth having.
I love fish finger sandwiches.
Sure.
But I've never ordered a Filet-O-Fish because obviously I do eat meat, so when I go there,
I
don't.
It's sort of like... It's not really... Yeah, it's like a fish square.
And it's... So, yeah, like a patty. But they put the burger cheese on it as well, right?
They do.
Which is quite an odd combo.
It is. It's unusual. You wouldn't normally get that, but I like it.
Yeah. Well, you sprinkle loads of cheese on tuna, don't you? So,
yes.
So, why not?
Well, there we go. Okay, so congratulations to all involved. Potatoes are the best, as agreed. John Mackenzie's not here this week. And in fact, he won't be here again because of what he said last week about potatoes. He has been removed from his job. You won't see him here for, what is it, Steve? At least 3 or 4 weeks?
Yeah, month suspension.
Maybe ever again. And if you're questioning why, when you're listening to the podcast next week and the week after and the week after that, and you're thinking, I thought Joe was joking, but John Mackenzie actually isn't here, it is because of what he said about potatoes. Okay.
He may appeal that, but it will go to the dubious takes panel.
That's true. Yeah. And if he loses, he will be relegated from Liga. Now, Club World Cup. What's that? Storms. We also started a joke last week, JJ, where whenever someone says the Club World Cup, we go, what's it called? Oh, Club World Cup, because it's stupid, pointless. Now, what's it called? Oh, Club World Cup. That's right. Now, Club World Cup. Let's talk about the weather, because there have, as many listeners will know, I'm sure, because we've all been glued to our TVs, they will know that a number of games at the Club World Cup hosted in the United States of America have been meaningfully delayed due to the intervention of the almighty, lightning.
Well, God, this is boring.
God didn't realise it was on. He wasn't actually watching.
Yeah.
But zing zing, he was popping some lightning down. Chelsea's most recent match in the Club World Cup against Benfica was paused in the 86th minute due to bad weather in Charlotte, North Carolina. The delay lasted 113 minutes in total, and it is the 6th storm-related delay in the Club World Cup, so far. Enzo Maresca actually said in his post-match interview afterwards, he said, if in this competition they already suspended 6, 7, 8 games, probably there is something that is not working well, because in football it's not normal to suspend a game. He was very upset about it. It is obviously a turbulent time of year, weather-wise, across North America. But the World Cup will be being played there next year, and of course in Mexico and Canada. And so I put it to you, JJ and Ruben, that I have some concerns about games being being sort of postponed due to weather. I know there are some specific rules around it, Ruben.
Yeah, more both with weather, like heat and storms. So
Sure.
if there's a lightning strike within a certain distance, there's an automatic delay. And
It's within 8 miles, I think, isn't it?
Right, yeah. And it doesn't matter what part of the game they're in, clearly, because they stopped it in the 86th minute.
Yeah.
When Chelsea were actually cruising to victory, and then when they came back out, according to Ollie Kay's piece this morning, it was a very different game, and the momentum had all shifted. So teams will have that to contend with.
Presumably, the people there had gone home. I mean, in the audience,
A lot of them had. A lot of them they were told to stay inside. And if you watch the highlights, there's Chelsea score a flurry of goals in extra time, and there's still a lot of fans in that end watching them score.
Right.
But obviously the stadium, they look kind of half empty anyway.
Wow.
And a lot of them are. But then with temperature, with the 32 degrees is the threshold that FIFA have for kind of having cooling breaks in like the 15th and 75th minute or whatever.
Yeah.
And
are those drinks breaks, or are they separate?
They're the drinks breaks.
Right.
But obviously in this tournament, a lot of players have been using like icy towels to cool themselves down.
Yeah.
You see the first drinks break on TV in the first half, and they're all just absolutely dripping in sweat. And I was reading Sarah Shepherd's pieces on The Athletic about the extreme heat in the World Cup, in the Club World Cup. What's it called? And they were saying there was an expert saying that threshold should be lower. Yeah. And if you've walked around London in the last week, it has definitely felt too hot to play football. Yeah. And, I know they're professional athletes, but they're also just human bodies.
Yeah.
It does cause some concern, especially with the storms. Like the delays, that's going to have a knock-on effect on broadcasting as well, if you want to look at it from that point of view. But as a kind of mitigating factor, of the 5 cities that have faced storm-related interruptions in this tournament, 4 were not chosen for next summer. Okay. That's Cincinnati, Nashville, Orlando, and Charlotte. But one of them is hosting the final, the MetLife Stadium in New Jersey. Right. So it's still going to be an issue, yeah.
Yeah, okay. And I remember I was reading about it this morning. I think it is any lightning strike within 8 miles, if it's detected, that's an instant 30-minute pause and delay, or delay if the game hasn't begun yet. And if there's another lightning strike, or they continue, the clock always resets from the point of the most recent one. So, imagine if there was imagine if lightning went on forever, JJ, then we would never know the result of Chelsea versus Benfica.
But you could also have loads of nice pints in the stadium while you wait.
That's true.
It'd be quite fun. Make a day of it.
I wonder how much. You probably can't get a pint. I wonder how much a bottle of beer costs in. From
what I've heard about America at the moment, about $28.
Yeah. American sporting confectionery stands are insanely expensive. I paid like $12 for a Diet Coke at the Barclays Centre in October.
I think it's good to make just expensive things for the rich people.
Sure.
And so that no
Give
one...
them something to do.
Yeah, you shouldn't be able to enjoy anything you do. I think it should all be making someone else more money.
Right.
I also think the players should just work from home and play the game on Zoom.
That would be good. They could just play FIFA, like the clubs mode of
just play.
EAFC.
No, they could play. They should invent like a hologram thing, so they play against the opposite team.
Yeah.
At home, so they just put their VR headset on, but we see them really on the pitch.
Yeah.
And then just let them work from home.
I do like that. I think they should work from home, and we should go to the stadium.
There's just one player just like standing still the whole time.
He's AFK.
Yeah.
Oh no, he's gone to the toilet again.
Yeah. He's working. Yeah.
It's the equivalent of having your camera off on a Zoom meeting in the morning, isn't it? It's like, he's just
still in bed.
Why is Bellingham's hologram running through the stadium?
There's something really funny that happens when we play EAFC with John McKenzie, he lives with another person that works here. The two of them share a house in London. And he's got, this joke that whenever his game starts lagging in the evening, he's like, oh, flatmate's home, must be trying to play something as well. But John's game lags in a very weird and specific way. He's got his player in clubs, which is the one where you all play as one player on the same team. His player looks like, we call him the Rhino. He looks like this massive Eastern European guy with a scale. He kind of looks like what John would look like if he took fantasy steroids and within a minute was like a big brutish guy. But what will happen occasionally is that you'll see John running up for a challenge, and then he'll be full pace sprinting just in one direction, a straight line all the way to the other end of the goal. And you go, oh, he's lagging. And he got to be able to tell you because his internet's gone.
Stop going offside, John.
And then seconds later, you'll see him just full pace sprinting the other direction and back, just past all the action. I don't know why. It's not funny to say out loud, but there's something so funny about seeing it.
I can see that. That'd be really funny. Is he connected to the Wi-Fi or is he?
No, he's got an Ethernet.
Oh, let's move on. We're not talking about Wi-Fi connectivity and Ethernet.
Hours of these conversations about there's something wrong with that guy's house. He just needs to move house, or he's deliberately running just in a straight line for a long time.
Maybe it's lightning causing his lag.
It could be, yeah. He does. He also has a penchant for a late night cornetto, does that guy?
He does. So do I.
Yeah. Anyway, there we go. That's Storms. A big section was cut, but you'll never know why or what it was. And I'm not crying. I was just rubbing my eyes.
I was more mean than usual.
Now, something new comes upon us this coming season, JJ and Ruben. Substitute interviews. Let me tell you, it's been announced that as part of the new TV deal for the Premier League, domestically, I should say, broadcasters will have the opportunity to interview players just after they've come off the pitch. We don't know exactly how soon. We assume, not like immediately, but maybe a few minutes later. Were you about to sneeze?
I was about to yawn. I was trying to do it silently, but you've drawn attention to it.
I was going to pause like that for you to do it.
It's fine.
You
Continue.
Try and do it now. No, you should try and
now
do it now.
Now I'm going to sit here with my mouth open.
Just try and yawn now. Go on, have a little try.
You go on.
I think, listen, this is the worst feeling. We all know, the listeners know when you're trying to yawn and then you have to get interrupted from yawning. Let's all just
I got the yawn out. I'm good.
Did you actually do it?
Yeah.
I don't believe you finished it.
Okay, well, just
tell me honestly that you completed the yawn. Did you?
I've still got half a yawn brewing.
Oh, no. JJ, let's not look at him. Don't look at him. Just let him yawn. Cover your eyes like that. Cover them. Wait, has he done it?
I can't see.
Has he done it? Steve?
Yeah, done it.
I'm
Go.
watching football.
Did he yawn?
No.
Just continue.
It turns out that this is a new thing. That I can't help but laugh when I look at you now. I feel
Look at him then.
Look
I'll
at him
speak afterwards.
It's at the corner of my eye.
I can't see it.
No. It turns out that as part of the new thing, they can do this stuff. Do you like that?
I do, because we could do loads of that.
Do you actually want that? Is that something that you want?
All the things and the stuff.
Well, the stuff like, let's say that your favourite player...
An alligator moat around the pitch.
Any Newcastle player, like, let's say that Callum Wilson was substituted off at in the 60th minute. Would you be there?
And had to navigate an alligator moat.
Well, once he's got through the moat,
Yeah.
but as a frog, like by stepping on the different lily pads.
Frogger, yeah.
Yeah,
exactly.
Frogger. He will be interviewed presumably by someone, and they will ask him questions while the game's still happening in a very sort of North American style. Do you like the sound of that? Do you want any of that getting up in here?
It's kind of... It's funny, right? Because it's quite fun having the access to players like that, and it makes them more human, I guess. But do you want... There's a certain thing with celebrity and... like musicians and stuff like that. The less you know about someone, the more magical they appear, and therefore they're not real. They're not really a person. So then you can watch them in a different way.
Right.
But if you start to know who all they are, and you'll start to see the actual emotions people have, I think it'll still be very sanitized, because they'll come off and there'll be a media person there who will, they'll come off the pitch, they'll do any like physical stuff they have to do to make, if they've got something with their knee, whatever.
Sure.
Put some ice on it.
They have to get a frog on their knee.
They have to have at least one frog, and they have to hold a frog, eat the big frog, and then when the media person will then say that you've to come and do this now, you know. So obviously, like the blockbuster substitution is going to be someone who's in a raging mood. Oh, I've been taken off.
Sure.
I'll get you.
Yeah.
So, but then they're not.
And then they'll say to them, "Excuse me, player, why did you throw your shoes at the coach when you were just substituted off?"
Exactly.
And the player will say, "It's just a game that we have, and it's an inside joke."
That's exactly what they'll do, or they'll have to do constant PR clear-ups to be like, that's not really what you meant. What I think you'll probably see a lot of is this interview may contain strong language, and then they'll be like, oh, apologies for that. He said a bad word.
Well, what about this, though? Do you like this instead? This will also open to you, Ruben, now you're done yawning. Broadcasters also set to be granted limited access to dressing rooms and to be allowed to enter the pitch in order to capture close-up footage of goal celebrations. Those are the two other innovations. I quite like one of them. I'd love to see inside of the dressing room because I want to check, like, this actually happens in the second half, so it's not a good callback, it's a call forward. I want to see like what shirt Dominic Calvert-Lewin looks best in. And again, you'll understand that when you listen to the second half of the show. I wish I hadn't said that now because that's kind of a confusing...
It's a proper time-dilated episode,
It's
this
a
one, isn't it?
time-dilated episode now.
Or was it?
But that's why I think getting inside the dressing room is a good idea. The camera's getting on the pitch after a goal has been scored.
Yeah, I don't really see the need for that. But with all of these new
Zoom
inventions, two parts of my brain very active. It's like a conflicting opinion where one of them, I just get the Sean Dyche meme going utter woke nonsense. And then the other one is like, no, this is modern. Everything evolves. If we saw it in American sport, we'd go, that's kind of cool. But in the same way that CBS Golazzo, that show, works brilliantly because it's for American TV and we only see clips of it.
Yeah.
I feel like this kind of thing works much better in American contexts. And we go, that's nice for them, but we don't want it in the Premier League.
Right.
To say. And cameras in dressing rooms feel like, I mean, I don't watch the kind of behind-the-scenes documentaries anyway when they follow a team for a season because once you've seen one, you've seen them all. They are all kind of similar, but it takes the novelty away if you have it every week. Like seeing a manager give a passionate team talk. There was a brilliant one.
So apparently, I should say,
Yeah,
it's
go on.
believed that manager team talks will be off limits for
Okay.
broadcasters. So we're not going to see
What's
that.
the
We're just
point
going to
then?
see footage from inside.
Oh, okay.
dressing
So it's
room.
just like in the corner, you see the players come in and chuck a bottle on the floor. Or
There'd be no audio feed, I would have thought.
Yeah.
They might show the manager doing something with a whiteboard,
Yeah.
you maybe won't see what's on it.
Sure.
I think there's another thing interesting with people coming off the substitutes bench, it'll be with how players are so media trained, because this will be brand new, so they'll have to come up with training to tell them what to do. But I think because you've seen it, people do things that they've seen before. It's why they all say exactly the same things. They're taught it, but also because they don't think independently. A lot of people.
of course,
Yeah, they see people say it, so they kind of copy what other people have said. But when you come off a game and you're in like game mode, you won't be in that state of mind. So you'll probably think a lot freer than you would normally. So they'll say things that might reveal some things. Oh, the manager said this to me. I don't know. So you might get more like human talking, which would be actually. I'd like that because then it becomes more of a human sport. Rather than
I'd
just
like
know
that too, because so much of it's retrospective, right? Also, if you ask a manager or a player like what happened in this game, they will tell you based on the final result. They will tell you what happened. Whereas if you were to ask them before the final goal, which determines the result, then you're going to get a different answer.
Yeah, well, if he's like, I know I can get inside that defender, but they keep cutting me off here, and the referee should have stopped this bit.
Yeah.
But now,
And if you've been brought off, it presupposes that there's a chance that it was for a system change or because it was planned ahead of the game. There's also a chance it's just because whatever you were being asked to do has turned out it wasn't as effective as the coach wanted it to be.
Yeah.
And you're the best option to be removed and replaced for a different thing. So
It's a good point. I like autopilot answers that turn out to be quite funny. Like when they get them wrong. I like when players say, but the most important thing was to get the 3 points after they've won a cup game where there are no points at stake, but they have advanced.
Well, that's the absolute prototype example of
So-
someone just saying things they think they should. Yeah.
So I look forward to seeing what autopilot answers are developed in these scenarios, and like which player will be the first to say, but the most important thing is the 3 points when the game is still going on.
that's true. That will be fun. I think the first question every time should be, why do you think you've been substituted? I think that would be the best opener, and the number of different ways that they would develop to answer those questions. I think that would be fun to see.
I would love to have seen it when Ronaldo stormed down the tunnel early, when on his, I would argue, unsuccessful return to Manchester United. Do you remember that?
Yeah,
When he got
I
in
do.
trouble with Ten Hag.
Yeah.
They just wouldn't get him though. That's the sort of thing where you wouldn't get it. I think
That's
I think it'll be
true,
very sanitized. I can't see it being.
But it would be so much better if it was like a political doorstepping, like going up to subs who have played badly or behaved badly. And
That would be
acting like
fun.
that, yeah.
They've tried them before, we should say. The process of interviewing a
cool.
substituted player was trialled by Sky Sports during the 24-25 season. Back in October, Bournemouth's Marcus Tavernier was interviewed at 76 minutes
Oh yeah, I remember
after
that.
he was substituted. And they did try with Patrick Vieira, who was back then was coach of Crystal Palace in 2022.
He's so quiet to talk to. I've interviewed him before.
Really?
Yeah, he's so quiet.
He did a half-time interview with Sky Sports in 2022
Yeah,
as another trial.
vaguely rings a bell.
So we've tried a few of these before. But I'll be curious to see how it goes. My least favourite of the evolutions, I would say, and it's not it's not a new access thing like this has been. I don't think it would have been decided as part of the new broadcast negotiations. But I remember first seeing it in the Bundesliga, though, where the pitch side cameras that were there to capture players were those. I can't remember what the specific type of lens is, but it's where everything else is out of focus.
La
apart
Liga.
from
It's not the Bundesliga. It's the La Liga, or maybe it's both. Actually,
the first time I don't know where it started.
Yeah.
The first time I saw it was with the Bundesliga, which we did some work with them before Tifo was part of the Athletic about 7-8 years ago.
Okay, yeah.
And half the footage they sent us was of this sort, where most of the foreground is sharp and then the background is out of focus, and it looked exactly like what FIFA looked like at the time, and I really didn't like it. Like, it looks sharp, it looks really cool, but it makes it not feel real. It makes it feel like it's produced or staged in some way.
Almost too cinematic.
Yeah. And that's crept into the Premier League coverage now. I see that. I see that in Premier League.
We were speaking in the office recently about Premier League TV coverage, and when we were looking at a selection of screenshots for a tactical analysis video and comparing the Club World Cup broadcast to the Premier League broadcast, I think we kind of concluded that part of the reason why the Premier League is so popular is because the TV product is like really, it's nice and colourful, it's vibrant, saturated.
It's literally because of the grass, apparently.
Yeah, and whereas like you watch the Club World Cup, they haven't maybe got the same colour mix on the broadcast, so a lot of the grass looks very kind of, what's the word, pale almost, and almost
Yellow?
grey. Yeah,
Right.
Adam Hurrey did a very long piece about the different aesthetics at World Cups over the years on this, but I do think it has an impact on how you watch football.
Big time. I love grass. I absolutely love it.
That's like I always say, the reason I like certain Premier League games is when you have all the strong colours. You get strong, lovely, deep green.
Yeah.
A team of red versus a team of blue. Perfect. I don't want any more of these.
Liverpool versus Chelsea, Man City versus Man United.
Yeah.
Very satisfying.
Yeah.
And the El Clasico colours as well.
Yes, that's a good idea.
We're going to play the separation game in a minute, but before we do that, do you want to give us a quick update, as best you can, Ruben, about the situation at Crystal Palace? Because and I'll briefly set this up by saying Crystal Palace won the FA Cup, which enables them,
And you will never forget that.
which entitles them to play in the Europa League
Yep.
in the upcoming season. However, Lyon also finished in the Europa League positions in Liga. Lyon have one of the same owners as Crystal Palace. Lyon
kind of.
also have been relegated subject to their appeal
Yeah.
to League 2 in France.
I'm not sure the EFL would take them, but yeah.
To Ligue 2 because of financial mismanagement issues. There's been speculation and confusion for some time, for weeks now, over whether Crystal Palace are actually allowed to compete in the Europa League next season due to conflict of interest. It's with UEFA at the moment. They're currently making a decision. We expected we might have one today. We don't, right?
Correct. So this is to do with John Textor and his group Eagle Football, right? Which is fitting.
This is a funny name for
Which
a
is
group.
fitting given the nickname of Crystal Palace, although ironic given that Palace was the club that he had the least control at. He owned 43%, but he only had a 25% voting rights and was not able to implement the things that he wanted. So despite the fact that Palace were often seen as part of that multi-club group, there was very little cooperation between Palace and the team that he's just called, renamed Daring Brussels, and Botafogo in Brazil, and Lyon. He has sold his shares in Palace to Woody Johnson, who owns the New York Jets.
Yep.
And was an ambassador to the UK for the US, worked under Trump. Very old American billionaire.
Right.
So Textor is no longer involved in Palace, but that's subject to Premier League approval because the fit and proper test, right? So that hasn't actually happened yet.
Sure.
But it probably will.
Yes.
Lyon, have appealed their relegation, which is due to Eagle Football's terrible financial mismanagement of the club.
Yeah.
So we still don't have an answer, like you said. And if Lyon are relegated, then we expect them to be.
Will they not be allowed to keep their Europa League?
That's what we're hoping. So I'm reading an update from.
And you say we're hoping is as a Crystal Palace fan
Yes.
as opposed to the Athletic.
The world of football.
Because personally, I would absolutely love to see a League 2 side playing in the Europa League. I think that would be hilarious.
Yeah. Well, there's a few other multi-club situations regarding this as well. Drogheda in Ireland are also share an owner with Silkeborg.
Right.
And there's an update that went out this morning. I read, as part of this settlement, Olympique Lyonnais agreed on an exclusion from the 25-26 UEFA club competitions should the French authority confirm their relegation. So that it sounds like if Lyon do go down to Ligue 2, Palace will play in Europe because Lyon won't.
Right.
But and Textor has now also stepped back from running Lyon to focus on the other clubs in Eagle football, Botafogo and the Belgian one.
Yeah.
So we're now in a situation where if the sale of his shares goes through, he's no longer involved in Palace at all. He's also no longer running Lyon because Michel Kang will now do that. But so he will only be involved in the Brazilian club and the Belgian club, and yet it could still be seen as a conflict of interest, like despite the fact that he's not really involved anymore.
That would be annoying, wouldn't it?
So you can see why it's complicated matter, and it's quite a dry read often. But more frustration for, I guess, Lyon fans especially and Palace fans. We were told that there would be a decision made by the end of the month, and it's still not officially confirmed yet.
Yeah.
There we
Okay.
go.
Well, hopefully we'll know by next week. Imagine
Hopefully.
that football team does financial mismanagement, gets relegated. Kind of incredible, isn't it?
Well, they won like 7-ish, I might be wrong there, back-to-back titles in the noughties. They were the dominant force before the Qataris turned up in Paris.
I know. Okay, right. Well, there we go. We'll probably know next week. Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed.
For Palace.
And that it's positive news
Yes,
for
yes.
us, not them.
For us, the
us.
Athletic. Yeah. Now, let's play, Ruben, the separation game.
Okie doke. So this week, something we haven't mentioned yet on the episode, this weekend, England won the Under-21s Euros for the second time in 2 years, actually.
Right, yeah.
Lee Carsley doing it again. Maybe he should have got the big job.
Was he playing next to all the other 23-year-olds in that team?
Yeah. Harvey Elliott.
Nonsense.
Bitter.
Were there 23-year-olds in the team? Were there
Yeah.
Harvey Elliott.
They're all like 26 years old.
How many of them are you
They're
allowed
not,
to have?
obviously.
Is it 3? Can you have 3?
I think so.
I thought the rule was
Was
that
that
if
the
you're,
Olympics?
if you're 21 at the start of the cycle, then you can play in the tournament.
Which cycle?
Like the qualifying campaign.
Tour de France.
I thought maybe it was like the Corinthian cycle or something. What's the Corinthian cycle?
It's where you get all those small men with the large heads in a plastic box, but you have to cycle them quickly between destinations.
You know, James Milner played for 5 years in the under-21s and got 46 caps for them.
Was he playing?
No, he is unfortunately now a bit too old.
The Corinthian cycle refers to cycling routes in the Corinthian region of Austria.
That's
don't
what I
think
said.
That's what it is. I
Anyway.
think there's more.
The winning goal was scored in extra time by Jonathan Rowe. You know Jonathan Rowe?
Nope.
He was at Norwich and he played the most recent season at Marseille.
With an E? Rowe with an E?
Yeah, Rowe with an E.
22 years old?
Yeah.
So he's not 21. Wait, is it 23s?
It's under 21s. When's his birthday?
April.
So he had just turned 22. So he was 21 for the majority of the cycle and can therefore play in the tournament.
The Corinthian cycle.
Yes.
Right.
So we're going to start with 22-year-old Jonathan Rowe.
Jonathan David Henry Rowe.
Yeah, as he likes to be known. And we are going to try to get from him to a player who only ever played for the England under-21s and never got a senior cap, Mark Noble.
Right.
Mr.
right.
West Ham himself.
Okay.
So, from Jonathan Rowe to Mark Noble, please.
Well, let's take a quick break, and when we come back, is it worth saying also this is a 1v1? Normally the stakes are a bit more spread out because there's 3 of us here, but right now it's just JJ against me. He's not even looking. He's already started to play.
Oh, I have to write the names down because I forget.
I've written the names down.
Yeah, okay.
But look at me in the eyes.
Yeah.
I'm going to get you. Okay. Yeah. All right, let's go through a break. Okay, we're back from the break. Ruben, separation game.
So, I could do it in 2.
Wow.
Which means there is 2 players between Jonathan Rowe and Mark Noble.
Yes.
How many could you do it in, Joe?
4.
4?
Which means there are 4 players between Mark Noble and Jonathan
Rowe.
Rowe.
Not inclusive. Okay. JJ, how
3
many?
for me.
Let's hear Joe's 4 first.
Okay, it's a fun 4, I'll tell you that. I wasn't really expecting to win, but I started with Jonathan Rowe. I didn't realise that apparently he played on loan at Marseille for this season, where he played with Adrien Rabiot.
I did say that before we started, but yeah.
I wasn't listening to you. I'm so sorry.
That's okay. Yeah, Rabiot.
He played with Rabiot there, who we all know played at Juventus with Aaron Ramsey. Remember Aaron Ramsey?
Yeah.
Yeah. Who played at Arsenal with Bukayo Saka. They did cross over. Who obviously played at Arsenal with Declan Rice. Who obviously played at West Ham with Mark Noble.
Yeah, okay.
What are you trying to challenge?
I'm looking at the time overlaps. That's all.
Well, Saka is listed there on transfer marks in the senior squad in this last year that Aaron Ramsey left. So I reckon he made at least one appearance.
Ramsey famously very injured.
That is true.
But in 18-19,
yeah,
he did make 28 appearances for Arsenal in the league. So
how many did Bukayo Saka make?
Let's find out. I'm not sure. I thought he made his debut the following season. Oh, 1.
Yeah! It counts.
There you go.
Counts.
So Rabiot, Ramsey, Saka, Rice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Not bad.
Good.
Okay, JJ, how'd you best me?
I'm trying to make a new one now, which is more fun. But my 3 is Jonathan Rose at Marseille, Chancel Mbemba. Is that Marseille? He played for Newcastle for a bit.
He did.
At the same time as Fabrizio Colaccini, so that kind of barriers that I don't like this one.
Sure.
And then Colaccini was there when Andy Carroll was at Newcastle,
right?
Who went to West Ham.
That's good.
Yeah, no,
that's
the one I'm starting, which I could probably finish if we had more time, but we don't, is Jonathan Rose at Norwich.
Yeah.
Same time as Kenny McLean, who used to play for Aberdeen,
right?
Who was there when Scott McKenna was there, who went to Nottingham Forest.
Right.
And if I can find one link between Forest and West Ham, I could do it.
I'm sure you'd be able to.
I just can't think of a player, but there's definitely one there.
Alas, had you only
Jesse
time.
Lingard, but probably doesn't overlap.
Maybe might not do.
Unfortunately, there's a man waiting for us on Zoom, and his name is Sebastian Stafford-Bloor. This happened already. Yeah?
Good. Yeah, they're really good.
Okay.
Yeah, lovely stuff.
Didn't want to hear my 2.
Oh, shit. Wait, come back. What was your 2, Ruben? I forgot about that.
Jonathan Rowe plays at Marseille with Pierre-Emile Højbjerg, who played at Southampton with Jose Font, the centre-back.
Did Jose Font play at West Ham?
Yeah, for 2 years.
Oh, my God. Wow.
And Palace back in the day.
I just remember everyone always used to be like, is it Font or Fonte? We don't know.
Well, it's Portuguese, so it's Font.
I know, but
it's probably Font.
We didn't know that back in the day.
No, of course, yeah. Jose Fonte.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
Oh my God, you're right. Jesse Lingard counts, so I could do it that way. That's
go.
one more fun way to do it, isn't it?
I like. I've got a Portuguese friend, and he's taught me over the years that the best way to pronounce anything in Portuguese is to just look at the first letter and then just say that and don't say any of the other letters. I think most Portuguese words just sound like a bullsh. My favourite Portuguese word, leishma, which means slug. So sometimes I just walk around and I say to myself, oh, leishma. You know?
You're way more sensitive about culture when it comes to talking about rice and potatoes than when it comes to the actual language.
Leishma.
Well, what a lovely separation game that was. And now some transfers. And we're joined by
Seb Stafford-Bloor. Hi, Seb. All right.
Hey, Joe. That separation game did sound fun.
It was fun. We haven't done it yet. We could do. It's a different time situation.
I'm imagining it to be fun, though.
It's always fun.
Got a vivid imagination. I think it probably would be fun.
A little grey in your beard. Have you suddenly got really old?
No, when my beard goes beyond a certain length, it gets tinged with grey.
Right.
And a little bit of orange as well, which is a lovely combination.
I know that one.
Are you just busy, or are you going for a particular style?
It's a bit of both. It's a style called really, really busy and really important and don't waste my time. That's what the style's called, if you were to look it up.
Don't waste your time, huh?
Yeah, exclamation mark too. It's really important because if you don't put the exclamation mark on there, it means something entirely different.
Yeah. Well, it's nice to see you anyway, looking like you could be a character in Braveheart. Now, there's stuff to talk to you about today, Seb Stafford-Bloor. The first thing is, and then I'll go around the room, is Jamie Gittens, who's a player you and I have spoken about before. In theory, going to Chelsea, is that correct? From Borussia Dortmund? Do you want to tell me about that?
Yeah, so we're recording this on Monday, and we think Jamie Gittens could be a Chelsea player by the end of the day or early Tuesday, something like that, Joe. And negotiation was done just for the weekend. Deal in principle. He travelled from Dortmund's training base. He's obviously in the USA as part of their Club World Cup squad. Travelled from their training base to do his medical with Chelsea over the weekend, and that seems to have all gone well. So, deal pending.
Didn't he have a special kind of weird release clause at Dortmund?
Yeah, it was a funny one, and this is actually why the negotiation has been a little bit protracted, because his release clause depended upon which European competition Dortmund qualified for next season. So if they finished in the Champions League places, it was at its highest. If they missed out on European football altogether, it was at its lowest. And the problem was that over the last 8 weeks of the Bundesliga season, Dortmund went from mid-table to snatching the fourth place on the final day of the season. So no one kind of knew what their leverage was in that, so it was really, really awkward for everybody.
Yeah. Okay, fine. And then can you find it, because I'd never watched him play, can you tell me about him, where he plays and where he's going to play at Chelsea? Because they also, we're going to talk about João Pedro in a moment as well, but they are also signing João Pedro.
Yeah, so I don't know what Chelsea's specific idea is with him, but at Dortmund, he's almost exclusively played on the left-hand side as a very sort of dynamic one-on-one winger. He's incredibly quick. He's very, very skillful. Interestingly, he's one of those wingers who he wants to cut and field. He wants to shoot. He's really good at kind of finding little bits of space, but then manufacturing enough time to shoot and with power. So he's a real difference maker, and on form and in full confidence, he is a brilliant, brilliant player to watch. And I think Chelsea have done a good deal. The one thing to say, though, is that he had a really tricky second half of the season, Joe, because 2024-25 was really the first time that he was kind of a week-to-week starter at Dortmund. And so he went from being this kind of impact substitute the year before that, to being someone who was asked to play 3 times a week, so Bundesliga, Champions League rhythm. And probably for the first 3-4 months of the season, that was fine. And then around Christmas time, just for the winter break, it started to catch up with him a little bit, and he got a bit jaded. And then in the new year, Dortmund changed coach. Obviously, they sacked Nuri Sahin, replaced him with Niko Kovac. Kovac preferred a kind of a, not quite number 10s, but a pair of more central attacking players behind a centre forward. And Gittens is really a winger, not an internal player at this point in his career. And so he didn't really have the same natural place in the team. And so I think that sort of jaded fatigue plus having to sort of adapt to a different role, different coach, didn't work out quite as well for him in the second half of the year. But I would point people back to the first few months of the season, where he was unquestionably one of the best attacking players in Germany for quite a few months.
Okay. Well, I assume then, based on this description, that maybe he's there to replace Jadon Sancho, who I think we talked about this last week, but Chelsea have decided to pay money not to sign Jadon Sancho, which is the funny thing we thought could happen. They have also, though, I think this was yesterday or maybe this morning, David Ornstein announced that Chelsea have also signed Brighton's João Pedro. Well, at least they've reached an agreement with Brighton. 23-year-old Brazilian, targeted by Chelsea and Newcastle United, but he only wanted to join the West London side, according to what's written in front of me. A deal in excess, JJ, of £50 million has been struck, while personal terms are in place on a contract until 2032. It's worth saying as well that Mark Carey, or Make Carey, as he's written here in the plan, which is really funny.
Thanks for, not
Listen, Steve,
helping me out.
Make Carey. I love Make Carey. I love Make Carey do exactly what I want. Now, Make Carey wrote a lovely piece on site explaining why actually maybe he does, João Pedro does give Chelsea something that they don't already have, which is kind of shocking given the number of players they have, JJ.
They have a lot, and it's cost an awful lot to assemble. I haven't read Mark's piece yet, but...
Do you want me to tell you what he says?
Well, no, see what I think is linked to what he is.
Yeah.
So I think what we're seeing with a lot of the elite managers, and I'll just put them in like the Guardiola school of thinking, which Maresca very much is, what you're going to see this season is lots of players, the way they use width's going to be different. I think fullbacks will be pushing forward quite an awful lot for some of them, because a lot of teams are going to be playing 2 strikers, but they're split strikers. So rather than having one central, I think you'll find that they'll, like, say the attacking left side forward will be like Pedro, who will actually play in the middle next to probably Delap or Jackson. Obviously, that's the choices they've got there. And that player can then drop into the hole and be more like a a second, like a shadow striker, which is what Pedro really is, I would say, rather than a simple central forward. But then you also need players around them to have width. So a lot of teams now are also pressing with a front four. So it's like a 4-2-4 shape out of possession. And so then you probably want wingers who are really fast like that. Sancho doesn't suit that for me, but for his out of possession stuff, which I don't think is it's so boring to say, like, oh, he doesn't work hard enough. He works hard enough. Some people just aren't that good at it, right? So when you take him out, I don't think he's as dynamic on the ball. I think he's whatever Sancho is. Gittens, haven't watched enough of him to really tell you exactly what I think. Whenever I've watched highlights of him, seems like a decent player. Exactly what Seb said about him is what I've seen. And so when you have that and you have an outside right as well who can give you something there, you also have to fit in like Cole Palmer and stuff like that to this, but then Palmer's numbers haven't been that good. You've also got players like Enzo playing behind, who's far more creative than anyone thought he would be. Caicedo is an excellent midfielder as well, but they're playing like three midfielders, so Caicedo and Fernandes or Enzo, and maybe Lavia's coming in a little bit, but they'll change depending on the opponent. So you'll probably see that sometimes you might even go to playing like a back three if they're playing against teams who are playing a two, and because lots of teams are going to be playing a two, you'll probably see more back threes, because if you have a +1 at the back, that'll be quite useful. So Pedro is not going to be like central striker, I don't think. You could play him at some times. He's going to be better at hold up and playing a bit deeper like a withdrawn forward than Delap or Jackson would be. So if you want a false nine, that's what his option is. If you want to play two forwards, like split strikers, then you've got an option there as well. And if the other two are injured or out of form, you can play Pedro. So it makes sense for your squad building, I think.
I think that's basic. That's in the realm of what Make Carey was saying, because Make said that he's like elite at running towards the ball, and that his numbers for being a striker that runs in behind are really, really low. He just doesn't do that very often. But he runs towards the ball and holds up the plate really, really well, which is something, as you're saying, that like they don't really currently have as an option. It's
kind of useful to have that. I think Delap's actually quite good at that, dropping in. But I think Pedro will give you a lot more with his link-up plays. Tidy, clever little player when he's on the ball.
Nicholas Jackson's link-up play had evolved quite well. But he's seemingly like unreliable, gets sent off a lot, and might get moved to the wing.
Maybe. Well, I think Jackson, his numbers are really good. I like Jackson a lot, and you need to play players like that all the time so you get the benefit of them. Because if you don't play them all the time, you end up with someone who finishes a season with 11 goals and 13 XG or something like that. You need consistency and momentum. And I think another thing, about the final point I'm going to make, and what you'll see a lot of with these sort of teams, got so many players can play in so many different ways that they might lose a bit of cohesion and chemistry, and so players just can't get on form, and it makes them look not as good. Yeah. So players like Gittens, if he comes in for some games and not for others, do you lose momentum? Do you lose your form you're on? Or is it a benefit to have that to then be able to play them when they're on form? And so you can benefit from having like purple patches and good and bad. Like in Pro Evo, when you start off with like a on form or down, you can play all the players who are on up form when you need to. And then maybe that's what they're trying to do.
And then play the players who are on the down form.
No, you don't play the ones in down.
Oh, you don't play
them? Take them out. Even if it's like Adriano, you don't play them.
Right,
you put in the ones who are on the up, because then they're just much better.
Yeah. Well, Seb, speaking as someone who has that beard and lives in Germany and has covered Jamie Gittens at Borussia Dortmund and knows that Jamie Gittens is moving to Chelsea and is aware, although not so intimately, because you don't cover Chelsea or the Premier League, but you are aware that they've assembled a team of super children from all over the world and have many of them. Speaking as that person, why do you think Jamie Gittens would want to go and join that team? Because I feel like it's getting to the point where if I'm a young footballer and I'm looking on and I'm thinking, where do I want to go? There's Man United on the list, and I go, do I want to get like immediately worse? No, don't want to go there. Then I go, Barcelona, do I want to worry that I'm not going to be able to get registered, but then ultimately be registered through some confusing means?
And then be forced out by local media when you want the money that they said they would pay you.
Yeah. No, don't want to go there. Do I want to... I mean, the thing's wearing thin, but as the person who knows all of that, why do you think Jamie Gittens goes to Chelsea?
Well, I was only listening for certain parts of that, so I'll answer the bits that I remember. Well, I don't think there's one reason. I think there's a couple. First of all, obviously, Jamie Gittens was born in London, so he's kind of going home. Also, Joe Shields was part of the Manchester City Academy when Gittens came through there. That was his route into the game. He spent a bit of time at Reading, went up to Manchester City's Academy, and then moved to Dortmund from there. Joe Shields was there. Joe Shields is now at Chelsea, and also you'll see dotted around that Chelsea first team quite a few other former Manchester City Academy prospects. So Romeo Lavia, Obviously, Cole Palmer is another. And I think, and this is me guessing, but I think if you look at that and you're a former City Academy player and you see how all of those players are kind of prospered, you'd think, yeah, that's a good fit for me. Also, like any other player, Gittens would have designs on making Thomas Tuchel's World Cup squad in a year's time. Chelsea, prominent, well-covered, strong team who are going to be playing the Champions League next season, gives him an excellent platform to kind of, if he can win a starting position, he can get into that team, into that squad. But I also think it's one of the areas which is kind of vacant in the Chelsea team. They have a lot of players, but I don't see many players like him in that role at the moment, because he's very dynamic. He's very, like, his great strength is one-on-one. He's a problem. He'll be a problem for any fullback in the league. I know that Estevão, the Brazilian teenager that Chelsea have signed, will join after the Club World Cup. But I watched a little bit of him at during the tournament, and he looks a little bit. He looks very, very talented and very skillful and very exciting. But whether kind of he'll immediately be able to claim a place in what's going to be quite a physical league for him with an adaptation, don't know. I think Gittens is kind of well placed to start. So I think it makes sense. And yeah, and it's a logical move for him. And I think where he was at Dortmund and how he was a little bit outside the head coach's plans and didn't kind of fit the structure that exists there now. It's kind of logical, isn't it, Joe? Yeah. Is that all of your question answered? There are other bits. There were sort of flourishes. You made some noises, and there was something about a beard. I don't know, but like maybe I've just said all of the information that I'm aware of, and hopefully that will do.
Liam Delap is another Man City product.
Liam Delap is another guy. Exactly.
You can't make any jokes leaving silence here, because someone will. My joke was going to be, you finished talking. I hadn't listened to anything.
Didn't work. I spoke to Ruben before and said, look, when I come on,
make sure you get in there.
He's right.
One of the things he likes to do is create this sort of like this awkwardness, but as and when he does, just jump straight in and just diffuse it.
It's a good bit.
Well done, Ruby. No,
is he finished talking? Oh yeah, whatever.
I haven't.
Hey,
finished.
Dominic Calvert-Lewin is a free agent. Did you know that, Seb? Dominic Calvert-Lewin is a free agent.
Yeah. Poor Dominic Calvert-Lewin. Good player.
I know.
In Euro 2021, people were calling for him to start ahead of a sluggish-looking Harry Kane.
Was 2021 the year that he had that great season?
It must have been, yeah.
He was so good.
He was really good,
in the first 6 months
Scored
of that season, before he got injured.
Oh, was that under Carlo Ancelotti?
It was under Carlo Ancelotti.
Yes.
And they had James cutting in from the right and Richarlison running in at the back post.
Yeah, and they had Alan in the team. Yeah. He was amazing.
Yeah.
Calvert-Lewin was incredible that year, and I feel like he is one of those players that, because I've seen him at his best, I can't help now but look at him and think, that's one of the best strikers in the Premier League. Like, how is he possibly a free agent?
Is it because he's so beautiful as well?
It's because he's beautiful, but it's also because at his best, it wasn't just the number of goals he scored, it's the way he scored them. It's the way that he's built. It's like, he looks like an incredible football player. He looks like everything I think a football player should look like. And he played like that for at least 6 months. And I don't know, I don't know where he's going. I haven't read anything about where he might go. He is available. I'm very curious to see where he lands. I suppose it's just a case of injuries destroying a career, right?
I think so. It's a shame though, because that patch of form back in, what was that, 4 years ago now, does still make me think, he'd still do a job for Team X. But availability is such an important trait when you're looking to sign a footballer, and if they are always injured, that is why he's now on a free agent. That's why he's now a free agent.
But you can see the drop off, right? So that season, when he had Ancelotti's manager, all decent, right? Yeah. And he was shooting around about his expected goals, and I know that's whatever that means, but you can kind of judge how good a striker is by what they're generating chance wise versus what they score. And he drops off when he's 24 years old at Everton. He only starts 15 games and scores 5. And then it goes another 15 games started the following season, only scores 2. The season after that, when he's 26, which is meant to be your peak, he scores 7 from the expected goals of 12.9, which is not ideal. He's getting chances, but he's not even hitting them now. And then last season, he scored 3. I know Everton were really struggling last season, and they were basically, before Moyes came in, they were relying solely on scoring from corners, basically, is what they were doing under John Dyche. One place that you could maybe go to is someone who needs a backup striker who could not have to depend on it every single week.
Man United?
Maybe them, like Newcastle being another.
Yeah.
He was linked
like
with Newcastle last summer.
He was linked with Newcastle.
Yeah.
last
He's been
year.
linked with Newcastle for about 4 years
Or
in
he
a row.
can fulfill the Callum Wilson role of
Being injured,
always
yes.
injured former England striker to sit on the bench behind Isak.
I would like him. I read a thing. It wasn't a report or a rumor or anything. It was just it was one of those clickbaity articles that says, "Here's where he might go next," and then it was just someone saying,
Did I write it?
This could make sense. It wasn't you. He said this could make sense, and what they said was like, Sunderland or one of the other promoted teams. And I thought, imagine if he goes to one of the promoted teams and he just has a banging season. I'd love that. I'd absolutely. What do you think, Seb? Again, speaking as someone who go on. What do you think?
Well, I just think he needs to get lucky. I think he's had a really difficult run with injuries, and like the guys were saying, like if you don't have continuity as a forward, then it's really, really hard. Like to kind of establish the confidence you need to score goals for the Premier League in the Premier League.
Yeah.
But like I think maybe the perfect spot for him is maybe somewhere where the pressure is off. So like a big side, but maybe as a second choice player. So someone who can work primarily on his fitness, condition himself right, start to feel confident in his body again, and go from there. Like I think that might work, and it could also work if he's a free agent, then especially so, because you're not having to pay a massive fee anymore to get him out of Everton.
Arsenal.
Yes. I mean, that was the rumoured one for those years when he was performing.
He seemed to be linked for about 3 years to Arsenal.
Yeah.
It is worth saying as well, sorry guys, that Everton did offer Calvert-Lewin new terms. Because I know we're talking a little bit as if like he's been let go because of injuries and stuff. But to be clear, Everton wanted to keep him on the right contractual terms. But he sort of decided in the statement as well, he sort of implied that he wants a new challenge. So, it's an interesting one for him.
Well, he'd look good in an Arsenal shirt, wouldn't he?
Very good, yeah.
But that's the main thing I think we should base it on.
He could really sell every merch range that they bring out after a loss to...
I actually think he'd look bad in a United shirt.
Most people do.
Let's do it. Let's go through the teams, not all of them, but just some of them, and say, just on instinct, and Seb, I want to hear from you as well. It's about instinct. It's not about anything other than feeling, okay? When I say to you, a club, you say yes or no, just based on how you feel about whether Dominic Calvert-Lewin would look good in that shirt or not. Okay, and
he is quite a handsome person.
He's exceptionally handsome.
He wears clothes well.
Yeah, but what we're really looking for here is like the best level.
Right.
If it's just like obviously he's Dominic Calvert, he'd look great in anything. But like if it's just great, then I'm saying no. If that's a match, like if he's in the Arsenal kit, I'm like that's incredible. Then yes,
I just because obviously as a 40-year-old guy who's lost most of his hair and is probably a stone and a half overweight, I don't feel great about saying Dominic Calvert-Lewin, you look bad in that colour.
I understand that.
I'm just getting out from underneath that problem.
Have you thought about taking any of the hair on your face and putting it on the top of your head? Because like you've got a lot of hair there.
I did that over the weekend. Looked weird. So I thought this morning.
You're right. It does actually. Yeah.
Let's go back and go from there.
Okay. Here we go.
Professional, Joe, as well.
You ready? Okay, I'm coming to you first, JJ. Chelsea.
No.
It's no, isn't it? It is no. Okay, this is going to be
Despite the fact that he's played in blue the whole time. Go on.
To you, Ruben, Crystal Palace.
Yeah.
It would be yes. It's a yes for me.
Be a great backup to Mateta.
Okay, Seb, Newcastle.
No.
I actually think yes. I think yes.
It feels bound to happen.
But it's fine. It's about feelings. It's not. We don't need to analyse feelings. We're not psychoanalysts. Now, what about this? Can I think of another football club? Okay, JJ, Fulham.
No.
It's a no. You're absolutely right. Ruben, Bournemouth.
Yes.
I think no.
I think no as well.
I think he would suit the red and black.
Yes.
Do you know what though?
I think we're on the same page and these guys aren't.
Leeds.
Which Leeds kit? What do they look like now? Are they just playing the white kit?
Yeah.
The Real Madrid white strip? Yeah, I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
I'm fine with that. I think he would look good in that one. I always remember Jermaine Beckford wearing like the yellow stripes one.
Yeah.
He looks great in that as well.
Calvert-Lewin would kill that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Look good in that.
I genuinely think he'd look great in the Van Persie Arsenal shirt though, like the long white sleeves one with the from 2012 or whatever.
And sometimes in like documentaries.
He wears short sleeves, Joe. He wears short sleeves though, so he wouldn't have.
I know, but I can imagine him wearing long sleeves if I want to. You can't stop me imagining that.
I can't stop you, but I can tell you it's wrong.
Well, yeah, but when you tell me it's wrong, you just make me want to do it more. So you know that's how that works. Yeah.
Do you know how sometimes in documentaries they like clip out little bits from podcasts so they use it as like these are what the people in the industry are saying about those sorts of footballers
at the time?
When they do one which is on the oversaturation and decline of podcasting, I wonder where this one might come across in the producer's list of.
I will send it to them. Don't worry.
Hey, Milos Kerkez also...
Steve's making a documentary now.
Milos Kerkez has gone to Liverpool. Apparently that signing's been completed from Bournemouth in a deal worth £40 million. Did we talk about this already?
Not yet.
No, not yet. Okay. Joined Bournemouth from AZ in 2023 for around £15.5 million. So it's like a huge upgrade. Made 67 appearances over 2 seasons, 6 goals, 2 assists. He's a defender. Did you know that, JJ?
Yeah, is he though? Because he's very good going forward. He does all the runs you want of a fullback, underlapping, overlapping, good with the ball, aggressive.
Yeah.
Probably the best fullback in the league who's not at one of the already best clubs.
Right. Does he play on the left or the right?
He plays on the left, yeah.
So is this an Andy Robertson replacement?
Andy Robertson, it's a battle. So Robertson is still sort of like a captain at Liverpool, right? So, but he's probably he got injured and he hasn't quite come back to his best since then. So this is probably going to help him.
Because I didn't watch that much Liverpool this season. They were only the Premier League champions. I didn't watch that much of them. But one of the regular narratives that I heard was that Andy Robertson's rubbish now.
Yeah, people said that, but I think he just struggled to get back into a rhythm after getting injured. That's the way I saw it. But then I can't tell them I'm a little bit biased because I just love Andy Robertson, not because he's Scotland captain or anything. I just think he's a great player.
It might be like the beginning of the phasing period. You know, they might get the same amount of games this season. One of those. I remember when Robertson first joined Liverpool. It was still Milner playing at left back for a bit because of the adaptation to the Klopp system.
Yeah.
But I presume in this season Robertson will still get a fair amount of games, but the idea is that maybe the season afterwards Kerkez starts all the time.
I think Kerkez will probably start most of them. I think what will probably happen is maybe what I was alluding to earlier with what happens with teams' tactical setups is if you think about what they've signed on the other side as well, Frimpong, there's a chance that Arne Slot does something that looks like a back three at times. Robertson playing in that team could be the left-sided one of that. Could possibly be what they're doing. So you still get options of changing what you're doing going forward. I don't know if they'll play at the same time, but they could. I think I really want to see what Slot's doing in pre-season to see if he starts changing anything, because I think him and a few others are doing something different at the moment.
Okay, great. Seb, before we let you go, is there anything transfer you want to talk about? You think the listeners to the Tifo Football Podcast should know?
Should know? No, it's really weird at the moment. I'm very much new to transfer reporting, and it seems like I've joined in the worst possible summer because loads of things are sort of stuck.
Right.
Even though there've been some big deals, I've thrown bits, gone to Liverpool, Joe Frimpong there as well. But it's sort of maybe I've joined transfer reporting after transfer reporting has ended.
Maybe you're the reason. They're like, this guy's here now, let's not make any more moves.
It's like you get a job at like, you know, as a music journalist in like 1987 or something like that. Maybe that, you know.
Just before all the big pop stars start performing at Glastonbury.
It'd be later, like 97.
And you've got like sort of, you know, a bad version of Led Zeppelin not doing anything, so you're kind of too late, and I don't know.
There's that Cameron Crowe film, isn't there? Almost Famous, where Philip Seymour Hoffman plays like an aging, famous music
Lester
journalist.
Bangs.
Jaded Lester Bangs, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you know.
Timo Werner's off to New York, though.
Oh.
We think so. Yeah, we think so.
In talks, sorry, as reported by Seb.
Steve, this is going to seem mad because it's potentially 34 degrees today, but I'm actually freezing in here now. Do you think you can turn the aircon on? It's actually really cold.
Imagine how I feel.
Yeah, right. All right, well, in that case, we'll say goodbye to you, Seb. Thanks for coming, and best of luck with whatever animal you have on your face. I hope you can get to a veterinarian to have that removed as soon as possible.
Well, no, I mean, I've always thought of the Tifo Football Podcast as a safe space. So if someone wanted to try something weird with facial hair, it's fine to do it.
I agree.
I come back and it's this nasty, like, malignant environment where people just say nasty things to each other. And I'm glad that this is kind of, you know, not live, but kind of being broadcast. It's great to be able to say, you know, I'm so much better off without you.
There he goes. All right, see you, pal. Well, there you go. That's the end of today's episode, I think, isn't it? I want to get out of this room, so I'm resisting all the things that have come to my head to say, don't do that, to elongate this bit. This is sort of the
What was the first thing that came to your mind?
It was just to say the word Lejma. That was the first thing.
I feel like, would it work? Because I can't tell what part of time we're in.
I don't know either.
Does it work as a callback?
Right?
Well, this is the thing. The second thing was to then talk about what part of time we're in. But I thought, nah, let's just leave it. It's fine. Steve said he only wanted a functional outro. He didn't want like some long bit.
Yeah, a long bit where we talk about what we've already done again.
And
Just
then
like
the
this.
problem is with even just the sort of the nature of considering what we might have done is that ends up becoming a thing. In itself.
Well, exactly. If we were to, for instance, talk about the real possibility of the alligator moat,
Yeah.
I mean, that could be another way that... But that would make this last too long.
You've brought that up 3 times today, and I have to say, I don't think any health and safety expert is letting that get by. You know?
It's a woke world gone mad.
Yeah, that you can't... I think if you expect people to cross an alligator moat to play professional sports... I think these people, their legs are some of the most valuable legs in the world.
Well, we'll get there eventually.
Yeah,
It will, the nature of capitalism, it will eat itself. And so...
like an alligator.
Yes, well, they don't
Yeah.
eat themselves, snakes do.
I think they eat each other.
Do alligators eat other alligators?
I think I've seen alligators eat each other before. I think I've seen a video of it where they go.
I've seen them drag like deers into the...
Let me just go. I've got to go
pond.
and check. But can you just check on your computer here about that alligators and just tell the audience whether that happens or not?
Yeah.
All right.
So for the listeners, Ruben has left the...
No, Steve. JJ's just going to check about the alligators.
Okay.
It's okay, Steve. Don't worry. He's just checking about the alligators.
Yes, alligators do eat other alligators. It says here. That's good.